So we bought this small foldable cart for taking things along, and in one of the reviews on the website it lists that it has some difficulty if you're carrying something heavy like your child or something else like 30 kilos or something, which is about 60 pounds US probably. So after some discovery, taking the wheels out, turns out that it's basically just a bushing. Clean through, 10 millimeters inside diameter, a aluminium tube, which the actual bolt just goes through. So it's basically a friction bushing, if nothing else, and I can see why that would be heavy if you have anything heavy in the cart. So let's remedy that for a bit. You'll need a, let's see if it would focus, a hexagon bit, don't know the exact size, and a 13mm socket. Carry on. So, the wheel is removed for now, and you can see if you lift it up, well, so much for the demo, the aluminium tube is inside. So let's get the aluminium tube out, and then you need to whack on it a bit to get the actual plastic bushings out. So if you put the bolt in, slightly wedged, put some pressure on it with your finger, you can tap it on the bottom and the other side should just fall out. There we go. That's the bushings out. Clean hole. I think it's something like a 37 diameter, something-ish hole. Not sure. Should be in the open Scott file for the exact size. So what we have here is new plastic bushings. These fit inside. They have a small lip which should be caught by the edge. You have a 20mm inside diameter which holds the bearing with a small lip, if you can see it, which should hold the bearing. So you put in the one side. Ta-da! And I forgot where the bearings are. Great. Basically, you need to put in each side, like so. You can put in the other side and press. It should now be flush on the one side and the other side, and now I'm going to look for some bearings. It should be just 608 2RS skate bearings. So yeah, the actual bag with the bearings was actually next to me. I'm getting blind, probably old age. Nevertheless, if you have a, let me check. Focus! No, not really. If you have a 15mm socket, you can put that over here, which perfectly fits the outer edge of the bearing, so you can push it in by actually exerting force on the edge of the bearing and not the actual inside of the bearing, which is bad. So this should work pretty good. Some mild tapping later, the bearing is in. Before you do the other side, there's a small 42mm crush bearing. It's a plastic tube, but it sounds fancy. Alright, put that in. Add another bearing. There we go. Two bearings each side. Pushing in the middle, so you can just tighten the thing down without actually exerting any force on the bearings, which should be good. So then I have a couple of these other end stops. So as you can see, they're slightly cone shaped and they're supposed to go in like this. And although it looks deceptive, these will actually rotate freely because they have a small lip. So it only presses against the inside of the bearing, and that on the inside of the wheel would put pressure against the crush bushing, and on the similar one on the other side. So yeah, you can just tighten this down and it should just spin on the bearing, like it should. You don't want to have the bearing spin over the axle, that would be bad. As you can see, you put the side bushings in as well on the other side and on this side. Now it's just a matter of lining up the bolt, thread it through, tighten it back down, and you should now have ball bearing wheels. Excellent. Right, some tightening of the nut later. You can clearly see that the wheel is, well, it's a bit wonky. It's about what you could expect, because the tire doesn't fit quite right. But it spins freely. Well done!